Welcome back to the channel. I'm Wayne, the founder of One Sober to Another. Look, today's video is something crazy. It's about being the good drunk and what that meant in the shaping of my alcoholic history, as well as what it means for me today. You ready to go? Let's get it, folks. Throughout my drinking history, and a lot of you may be in the same boat, I was the good drunk. I didn't bother many people. I didn't take from a lot of people in the sense that, my drinking didn't affect them the way I thought it did. And that's just kind of what this video is about. There's a couple things that I'll highlight, and there's a couple things that kind of stick out. And I was thinking about them when I drove to this place today, and I was thinking about them when, I decided to come out here, and I just wanted to share a little bit of this place with you while I had the opportunity. Now, some of you may think that you're a good drunk, and some of you may think that your drinking doesn't affect anybody but yourself. But I'm here to tell you that just because it doesn't directly affect somebody doesn't mean that they don't know that you might have a problem that you don't recognize yet. And what that looked like for me is one of the prime examples that I can think of that make that more apparent than any about being the good drunk is, I used to have a couple places where I bought alcohol. I used to have a couple drinking marts. I used to have a couple liquor stores. And they always told me, and this is the ironic part, people, is that I'm a good drunk. I'm a good customer, and I don't cause any trouble. And they always had what I needed available. And if it wasn't available, they ordered it for me. Now, what kind of service is that? That's impeccable, right? It became one of my biggest enablers is that, you know what? Maybe I'm not that bad. Maybe I don't have that big of a problem because I'm not causing any trouble. I'm not bothering anybody. But what that really meant, folks, is that I went so often to the same places because I knew that they truly didn't care. They truly didn't care if I was a drunk as long as I bought what they had, and as long as I continued to come back, and as long as I continued to have pennies and euros in my pocket that I could dole out and make their bottom line a little fatter without causing problems. And that's what it was. I didn't cause any problems. I didn't argue with them. I didn't, get belligerent at the liquor stores. I didn't try to force my way in when they weren't open yet to get my alcohol. I just simply waited patiently, knowing that they would be open at a certain time and knowing that they're going to have exactly what I need. That, my friends, was being a good drunk, and that was one of the biggest enablers of my drinking history. If you can relate to that so far, drop your comment below, because somebody watching is thinking that they're alone with this thought, and they are the only ones that are in this predicament where they're the good drunk, and there's no reason for them to stop what they're doing because it ain't hurting nobody. Now, some of you may say, what does this have to do with me getting sober? Well, it has a lot to do with staying sober, one, and finding a reason to get sober. Because if I didn't think that I had a problem, there was no way that I was going to stop drinking the way I was drinking. If I didn't think that my life was in danger, there was no way that I was going to stop drinking. Because truth is, folks, is that, I thought that me drinking was one of the things I was supposed to do, because that's how I was brought up, is that you drink because you're a dude. You drink with the boys. You drink for this or for that, and on and on and on. So I thought it was normal. But it turns out, folks, I was literally killing myself, and I had no idea how quickly. Let's walk. Okay, so as we talk about that, and I look around at this beautiful place, I realize that me living sober is the way I'm supposed to live. Now, you might disagree, but I'm telling you, folks, I definitely wouldn't be out here like I always say if I was still drinking. I definitely wouldn't be walking these hills, not if I could be walking to the liquor store. And the backpack that I have on today, it's not full of alcohol. It's full of water because when I hike, I get thirsty. Another thing that I'm going to point out is how detriment my drinking was actually getting. I'm actually just looking around out here, so join me. How detriment my alcohol was actually getting. How bad drinking was becoming for me in my life. Now, I had this house in one of the places that I was located during my Army career. And it was a complete house. It had a full garage. It had a couple flights or a couple stories. And I was the only one living there because guess what? I was choosing my career in drinking over my family. And by doing that, I was always alone. And by being always alone, that meant I could drink the way I wanted to. Now, why do I always bring this up for you guys? Why do I always bring up my drinking history? Well, because I can't say what your drinking history is. I can't say what drinking does in your life, but I can tell you what it did in mine. And I think that's where the value lies in telling our stories and sharing our experiences, strength and hope, is that someone's able to grab onto it. Someone's able to relate to what we're putting out, and someone's able to actually understand where it is we're coming from, and that they may be in the same game. And if I made it out, perhaps you can make it out. And by doing some of the things that I've done, perhaps it will help you in your journey, and vice versa. So I had this house, and you know, I had a full garage. And the reason I say I had a full garage a couple times is, well, because that became my dumping post for all the refuse of my alcoholism. That became the dumping post of all the bottles, all the cases, all the crates, all the cans, all the food dishes and everything else. Because I rarely cooked, folks. I didn't have time for that. I had to drink. And so this garage was full of all this trash. And it was full from the top, very top, to the very bottom, from the very front to the very back. This is not a joke, my friends. And this happened, I don't know, over a year. And it was time for me to leave. It was time for me to pack out and time for me to go to a new duty station. And what happens during that process is someone has to come inspect and make sure everything's clean and make sure everything is empty and make sure there's nothing there and the place is the way it was when I received it. Well, guess what, folks? So I had the inspector come, and I knew this inspector was coming. I knew it. I knew it for weeks. But I was drinking in there anyway. I cleaned out every single thing as best as possible, except for that garage. That garage that is full from top to bottom, front to back, of all my alcohol refuse. Well, this inspector came, and I thought I was going to, fool them and trick them because I had drank in the house the night before all the way until this person was supposed to arrive. So not only was I like super drunk at this time, this person had to actually come look at the place that I was living at. Well, being the good drunk that I was able to talk him through all the rooms in the house. I was able to talk him through, the backyard, the front yard, the tool shed, the upper rooms, the bottom rooms, the basement, and all that stuff. And then as he was getting ready to leave, and I thought I was slick, and I thought I beat him and everything else, he's like, oh, wait a minute, I forgot to check the garage. And I was like, oh, no. Yep. So he was going to have to look. So I opened it up. I opened it up, folks, and this man just gasped like in a horror movie when they see something, a jump scare. Yeah, when in a jump scare movie. And he just jumped back. He slammed the door shut. And he didn't talk. He didn't talk for about at least a minute. 30 seconds to a minute. And then he looked at me and he said, "My friend, I cannot believe you are alive." And I was like, what are you talking about, man? Just finish inspecting. Tell me what I got to do and go. He's like, "Look, I used to be a paramedic before I did this job. And I'm going to tell you right now that you should probably be dead or go get some medical help." And you know what I thought to myself, friends? What I thought to myself was, I'm not dead. I don't need medical attention right now. Therefore, I'm a good drunk. And he gave me time to actually get it cleaned out. So now, being the good drunk became my biggest enabler, my friends. And I'm going to tell you that from that point on, I panicked and I was like, oh crap, I got to get all this out of here. How am I going to do this? And so being the good drunk that I was, I went over to the neighbors who I rarely bothered and I asked them if I could use their van. Now, was I drinking all the night before? Yes, I was. Did they give me their van to use in order to move this stuff to the dump? Yes, they did. So therefore, in this brain, I said to myself, I must have been a good drunk because they're going to loan me their van and I'm drunk and they're going to let me clean out my debris, trash, and chaos so that I don't get kicked out of the army. And then I get to go. I get to just leave. So wow, what a good drunk. I mean, I got the liquor stores that are behind me. I got the neighbors that honestly, as long as I leave, they don't care. And I've borrowed money from them many times in order to get drunk. So, being the good drunk, just in those stories alone, I affected probably, I don't know, the paramedic, the people who do the transition processing, my wife and son, the neighbors who had a family of 5, the neighbors next to them who knew I was leaving and just waiting for me to get out, and a whole bunch of other people in that chain of effect through me thinking I was just a good drunk. My friends, I tell you this because a lot of us think that we're the good drunk or we're the good alcoholic or we got everybody fooled or whatever the case is. And if I felt like I wasn't hurting anybody, and I've said this so many times because that's where a lot of relapses occur, that's where a lot of inabilities to get sober, that's where that stays, is that we think that we have it solved. We think that we are the only damage we are doing to ourselves. If you're in this boat right now and you want some help, there's some resources below. And if any of this has resonated with you, drop your comments below because someone's going to get some of that. And my friends, I'm going to tell you what, I appreciate every single person who has subscribed to this channel. And I appreciate everybody genuinely as real people in the comments and not just numbers as they go up. And I keep chopping at these comment folks, but I'm going to tell you what, they stack up so much, it's just almost impossible to get behind. But I'm doing the daggone thing. And I just want you to know, I love you guys. I respect you. If you're trying to get sober, let me know if you need any help from me. If you are sober and you're trying to stay sober, hopefully this video helped. And if you need any additional help, just let me know or hit the resources below. And if I can be of any assistance for you guys, definitely send a shout out, reach out to me on my email, onesobertoanother@gmail.com. And yeah, life is a daggone garden. And if we are out here digging it, it only gets better from here, my friends. I'm going to see you in the next one.